What's going on, guys? Cody here with Apex Drone Solutions. Welcome back to another episode of the YouTube series. I am here today with Alex Ryan. Been a really good friend of mine, and actually didn't even know it until a couple of years ago. We grew up pretty much together.
Very close,
so, yeah.
very close.
So he is launching something very exciting here at the Spray Drone Conference this year, Altus Ag. So I'm gonna let him kind of tell you guys a little bit about his background, where he came from, what he's doing, and all the cool stuff with the FAA and Washington and government that you're really pushing hard for, and the future of what you're doing for the drone industry. So yeah. Alex, I'm gonna kind of let you take over, and let's go, buddy.
Sounds good. Well, cool. I don't know if I would use the word cool to describe what I do.
Yeah.
But anyway, Alex Ryan, I'm really excited to be here with you. Grew up in Springfield, Ohio.
Yep.
Had a love for aviation and grew up in a very heavily agricultural family from a young age. And so when I was in college, I did some research and curriculum development on drone technology.
Yep.
And at that time, 10 years ago, spray drones were, well, not what they are today.
No.
Right?
No.
And so
honestly, probably not even, almost non-existent.
Non-existent.
Yeah.
And it was a cool concept. And so when I was at Ohio State working, developed that curriculum and taught it to 4-H students all over. And that was the birth of my love for drones and spray drones in general.
Yep.
And that sort of kept blossoming from there. I was really fortunate to have a lot of good jobs, working for a law firm for several years. And then I was the director of precision agriculture for Apple Farm Service.
Yep.
Where I actually started my first, and the first drone dealership in Ohio.
Okay.
So that was with Helio drones at that time.
Okay.
And then one thing led to another. I started to get really involved in the industry and got a phone call and talked to a good friend, Taylor Moreland.
Mm-hmm.
And Taylor hired me as a key account manager. That was 3 years ago. Since appointed me as director of regulations and policy. So everything from lobbying to FAA filing and that sort of stuff. And then now, as Taylor and I like to say, I'm fleeing the nest.
Yeah. I'm
going to fly on my own. I'm really excited to launch today Altus Ag Aviation Consulting. My fiance is helping me with that, and we like to call her my unpaid intern. But she's putting in a lot of great work with that stuff. And what we're doing is offering modern, really great customer service to regulations packages for customers, whether it's their first time in the industry or whether you're a seasoned pilot.
Yep.
We're here to make sure that you're not only compliant, but receive that hands-on approach, that bespoke experience, if you will, and so that you truly understand the regulation and you're not just caught in the middle. And so as we start to develop forward as an industry, regulation is going to be even more present than ever.
Yeah.
And so right now we're really focused on honing in on how do we make it the easiest, most effective, but also legal.
Okay.
So on top of all of that, I'm now a registered lobbyist. I'm really excited to work with American Spray Drone Coalition, UPass, and a couple of other organizations lobbying on behalf of spray drones in Washington D.C. I'm in D.C. a couple times a month now, which sounds a lot more exciting than it actually is.
Yeah.
But has led to some really great conversations, some great interactions, and the mission is now important now more than ever.
Yeah.
Especially with everything from DJI bans years ago all the way to current FCC issues. So.
Yeah.
A lot of my time is spent fighting for the spray drone operator, and I think that my superpower in that respect is that I've been in behind the sticks.
Yeah.
I've felt the wind, tasted the fungicide.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
It's something that has led me to kind of be really effective in Washington, and I continue to kind of work towards being better. And so that was the birth of Altus Ag.
Okay.
And we're going to keep on growing, and really excited to partner with Apex and Cody on how we're going to keep on furthering this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you're kind of in a unique position, as far as the drone market, the drone applicators, pilots, even just businesses out here. As much government stuff you do, lobbying stuff you do in Washington, you have a lot of insights and almost, I don't want to say read the future, but you see stuff coming before your other people do. So
Sure.
Stuff happening, this is getting real. So obviously there's been a drastic amount of change from when I got in it, when you got in it, to now.
Sure.
What what is the biggest, I guess what's the biggest hurdle you're seeing with the drones right now, and all the government restrictions they keep putting on stuff? What have you seen as far as the change? What have you seen from where it was to what it is now? What's changing? What are you worried about? Stuff like that.
Well, I think we're definitely in two different boats here. That first boat, let's talk about the manufacturer distributor side.
Yep.
With that FCC recent ruling, which we'll kind of go through, is as a result of the 2025 NDAA, which is the National Defense Authorization Act.
Yep.
There was a provision in there that said if DJI, Autel, and ANSI did not receive a security audit by one of 5 federal agencies, they would be put on a covered list by the FCC. That audit did not happen, and we were very well prepared and aware that future models of those companies were not going to be up for FCC approval. And the industry developed to that. The industry answered the call in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
What surprised us, though, is a day before the ruling on December the 22nd, Chairman Carr from the FCC released that all foreign-made spray drones and components futures were going to be on that covered list. And so there's going to be a waiver process to get off of that covered list.
Yeah.
And so that is what we're tackling right now.
Okay.
Working with several manufacturers on what this means. How do we chart a path going forward? But also there's a lot of questions that need answered.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what I'm dealing with in Washington right now, is to provide those answers, to provide that path to how we get this waiver process and how we make that difference.
Yep.
And so without all of that, the rest of the industry can't happen.
Right.
And so that's a big mission of ours right now, and that's the biggest issue and hurdle that I see at the current time is that FCC waiver process.
Yeah.
And another important thing to realize is the FCC is the rulemaking body on this, but the Department of War is the enforcement, or rather review agency. So
And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
every single one of those waivers will be reviewed by the Department of War for national security concerns. And there are 3 sections to that waiver, asking questions as in-depth as who's the manufacturer all the way to supply chain logistics, parts, and alternative sourcing options. So there's a lot of what ifs, so there's a lot of unknowns right now. So I don't like to speculate on how we're going to get through it,
Yeah.
but we will get through it.
Yeah.
It's going to take some time. Anybody that tells you this is going to happen overnight is wrong.
Yeah.
But all the conversations are happening as we speak. So that's the first book. Think about, I think, those barriers to entry, those hurdles, if you will. From the operator perspective, we've got, what drone do I buy? Who do you go after? Who do you trust? What brands are appropriate?
Yeah.
And while the keyboard warriors on Facebook could tell you all kinds of things,
Right.
I truly don't think that there is a correct answer for everyone. I think that each operation is different, whether which commodity you're at, your location. And so I think that my biggest and best advice is get out there, see an in-person demo, and see what it's like for yourself. But even more so, that barrier to entry extends to the legal side and the regulation side, which is the side that I deal with a lot. It is not an overnight process to become legal.
Yeah.
And I think that should not be overlooked. As a result of an executive order in October out of the White House, drone enforcement is going to be amplified extremely. The Department of Homeland Security just opened a new office just on drone mitigation. So the pressure is on. The FAA has put out a directive that there will be audits on all 137 operators. And to be very clear, I've interacted with the agents that complete those audits. They're wonderful people. They're very helpful and educational if you're trying to do what's right.
Yeah.
And this is not typically something that you can do on your own.
Yep.
And so I'm not saying it has to be me, should be me, but there's a lot of other options. Get help on this. Make sure you get through the process. And all of that starts with getting your remote pilot certificate, that Part 107. And if you truly grind down and get on it, you can have that done in 2 weeks, and we're ready to start the process. So it's an ever-changing thing, but I think as innovation grows, as innovation grows, regulation should follow. But unfortunately, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So We're dealing with some antiquated systems. We're dealing with FAA offices that are all over the country and separate. And that's just part of the game that we have to play to do this.
Yeah.
So I think being cognizant of what all of those are, what the process is going to really benefit future applicators and current applicators as you start to go through ramp checks and audits this year to make sure you're in full compliance.
Yeah. So, like a lot of you guys watching at home, you're new pilots, guys looking at this industry like we were years ago, thinking this is cool, want to do it. You know, a lot of, like you said, between the actual rumors, the useful information, and the dudes just blowing smoke up your ass online, a lot of that I think scares people off in wanting to enter the industry, or even, you know, guys are saying, well, it takes a year to get legal, you know, so then guys are getting scared off and not wanting to do that. You know, the guys watching this at home, I mean, what, like realistic, you know, what kind of time frames are we looking at? If I got a new pilot, you know, I sell him the drone, he comes to me, Apex, Cody, I want to buy the drone, I get him set up, I say, hey, we're gonna send you to Alex is gonna get you pushing with stuff, moving forward. What kind of time frames realistically, obviously you can't give me honest and, you know, definite times, but like what are we looking at from that standpoint as a new guy getting into this?
Sure. So what we're seeing right now, and within our company, you know, we've got each of these stages broken up. So we have a staff member that purely handles registrations. I handle the exemption filings, and we all kind of collaborate on the request of information and everything else.
Yeah.
But if you had a pilot that came to you today and they have their Part 107 remote pilot certificate, they buy a new drone from you, they have that serial number, that paid invoice, the registration process is going to go first. We prepare all the documents, we give that to the customer, sign that, notarize, send that in with a $5 check to the FAA Aircraft Registration Branch in Oklahoma. And that part's going to take 40 to 60 days to truly get through, to get that N number, that tail number. Once we have that N number, we're off to the races. We can file for that 44807 exemption. And I hate to say it, but right now it's only taking about 20 days.
Okay, yeah.
Record levels, and I tell people that very cautiously because exemptions can also take up to 120 days.
Yeah.
But recently, with new hires, with the end of the government shutdown, we saw that rulemaking group out of Washington amplify a lot and getting exemptions through very efficiently.
Okay.
So that's been a good thing. However, on the flip side, that 137 certificate office, which is a totally separate office, is backed up. We have customers that submitted petition or certificate applications in November and are still waiting on that 137 certificate. And you may wonder, you know, why? Okay, we're at that last step. Why does it matter if they have that 137 certificate? Why can't you just grab the controller and go fly?
Right.
One, compliance, that's the obvious answer. But also, you can't get insurance.
Yep.
You can't finish your state chemical license in a lot of states. And all of those play a piece into your liability protection as well as your compliant running. So once you have that last step, which could take 40 to 90 days, then you can tackle the rest of it. We don't handle anything on the state side. We're all federal, but that state commercial aerial applicator license is a necessity, and that varies state by state on what needs to happen there. And then your insurance, of course. So we've got lots of great insurance providers now. Seems like more and more each year, which is great.
Yeah.
And so taking that step to make sure that each of those boxes is checked is going to make sure that you pass an audit and you're protecting yourself as much as your customers.
Yeah, yeah. So if I get this drone sold to a guy, new client, he's wanting to do everything. After that initial drone part, your new business that you're doing now with the consulting, you'll take that person and help me go with them, start to finish, and getting them legal and ready to start flying, correct?
It's a coordinated dance. And it's a never-ending dance. It should be as fluid as possible, and that's why we partner with great partners like you to make sure that that customer has their hand held the entire way. And even when we get to the end, we don't just push you off the cliff and say, go fly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, with the 44807 exemption comes manuals, and so we'll go through your manuals with you. Talk about safe flying, talk about procedures. There's 48 conditions and limitations in the current exemption. So we're going to go through what each one of those means. And the current exemption is great. It's night flight, no visual observer, multiple drones, no requirement for third-class medical with revisions. So there's a lot of great things that are finally catching up, but you aren't going to know that unless we go through that with you.
Yep.
And that is where we set ourselves apart in being kind of unique in the industry of having that tailored approach to where we're going to be here for you every single step of the way.
Yeah, perfect. So can we talk about pricing?
Sure, we can talk a little bit about pricing.
So I know you guys watch, and that's going to be the first thing coming in everybody's mind right now, because people are trying to put together, kind of budgets for starting their drone business, yada, yada, yada. What I'm assuming you kind of have like a package type deal where people can pay you and then you help them and file stuff for them, submit stuff, yada, yada, yada. What are your options? What are your pricing? What does that include? Walk me through it.
Yeah, so, and all of this can be found at altusag.com under the Solutions tab.
Okay.
But what I'll tell you is the most popular, that agricultural regulations package, which is the one-stop shop registration all the way to certification, $2,500, so very comparable to other sources. And that includes that initial consultation, aircraft registration, exemption filing, exemption review, exemption approval, 137 certificate filing, and then all the way to the end with that review. So should be everything that you would need. The other thing to think about, we have a lot of new pilots 2 years ago, and their exemptions are expiring. If you have an exemption, go to the last page of your exemption, look at that expiration date. Very important.
Yeah.
Within 120 days of that exemption expiration date, come to us. We have a $1,500 renewal package to where we'll make sure that you get the newest, latest, and greatest exemption option, and then you'll be renewed for the following 2 years.
Okay.
And then we also have something new that we're doing is the audit and exemption review.
Okay.
So whether you're a big company that wants to go through your processes, train your pilots and make sure everything is good, we can't train you legally, but the company can train its employees. And so we're going to show you, we're going to educate you on how to make sure that you're most efficient. On the other side of that, we're also going to go through audit preparation. We're going to give you a mock audit. We're going to go through all of your paperwork, making sure that each one of those requirements are satisfied.
Okay.
And so that when the agents do come to your door, it's a very amicable process and is really goes off without a hitch.
Okay.
So, and in addition to that, we're going to get some other questions like BVLOS and sling load. We do offer all of those things, but those are usually a little bit more of a tailored package. So on the website, we do have a button for everything else that is not listed. So we are your one-stop shop for heavy lift drones.
Okay.
To get you through that process from A all the way to Z.
Okay. And I know one other question people are going to have. So like you said, your exemptions are expire after those 2 years. So that $2,500, they pay you now, for new stuff, get you started, get everything filed, yada, yada, yada. Then in 2 years, they pay, you do another $1,500 in 2 years.
Yep.
So every 2 years, it'd be roughly $1,500
Yep.
to keep you active and keep you doing.
Yep. And that's, of course, here and now, of course, we have to look at 4 years from now, some market adjustment, inflation, and all that good stuff. But right now, as it is, that $2,500 is that base package, that new operator, and then going on forward with that.
Yeah, perfect. Nope, I really appreciate it, Alex. Is there anything
Yes.
else you want to add or throw into the podcast? I mean, you and I have talked a lot about this, so we're going to do this. This is first of many. We're going to
We've got a lot coming up.
Yeah, we got a lot coming up. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff in the future. This is just kind of giving everybody a teaser, a taste of what we got. But
yeah, I think
anything else you want to add today, or are you pretty good with what you got?
Sure, I'll add one more thing. I think today we talked a lot about compliance, a lot about regulations, a little bit about lobbying and advocacy. I've said this a lot lately. This industry is too small to knit and pick and go after each other.
Yes.
I think what this industry needs now more than ever is unity.
Absolutely.
And advocacy. And I think that starts all the way to you sitting in your recliner watching this.
Absolutely.
Or whether you're in the truck cab or wherever you're at.
Yeah.
That advocacy and that love and cooperation starts from the bottom. We are way too small to be divided.
Yes.
And so my plea to you, my request to you is get involved. Contact Cody. Contact me. There's a lot of work to be done. and I can't walk up the Capitol steps alone.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
let's band together and let's get this thing done.
And you now more than ever need people's support in your lobbying efforts in Washington so we can continue to run drones so you guys at home can actually be able to start this business. We need that help. We really need that support right now.
Livelihoods are at stake.
Yes.
And passions are at play.
Yes.
And so when I go to a senator's office, if it's not a senator from Ohio where I'm from, they're going to be great. We're going to have great conversations, but they want to hear from the people in their state.
Yes.
They want to hear from their constituents.
Yes.
So whether you're from Hawaii, Alaska, or anywhere on the main 48.
Somewhere warmer than we are right now.
Somewhere warmer than we are right now.
Yeah.
Get in touch. American Spray Drone Coalition and UPass are prepared to have those conversations, and I'm ready to lead the way with you.
Perfect. Awesome. I really appreciate your time today. Guys watching at home, I really appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode. Again, we're here with Alex Ryan, Altus Ag Consulting today. He's going to be able to see the comments on this. His socials will be tagged in there. It's altusag.com.
Yep, you got it.
You guys go there, check him out. Again, anything that you guys would like us to talk further about in the future, or if you want to pick our brains, comment, obviously like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check us out on our socials, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Your socials, same thing, Facebook, TikTok,
Same
Instagram.
thing, will be linked below.
Perfect. Everything will be on there. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Alex, I really appreciate it,
Good to
buddy.
see you, my friend.
Thanks,
Thank you.
brother. Appreciate it.